Hey friends, Mulberry Cultural Center here with a new project, Artist Spotlight. This is for older kids and adults. Today we're going to study artist Dale Chihuly. You may remember last week in a craft project we made his maquias. Dale was born September 20th, 1941 to George and Viola Chihuly. He grew up in Tacoma, Washington. After graduating from Woodrow Wilson High School in 1959, his mother persuaded him to enroll at the College of Puget Sound, which is now the University of Puget Sound, in his hometown. After remodeling his mother's recreation room, it motivated him to transfer to the University of Washington in Seattle in 1960, where he studies interior design and architecture. He also learns to melt and fuse glass for the first time. By 1962, he was feeling uninspired and decided to travel to Florence to focus on art. Frustrated by his inability to speak Italian, he moves to the Middle East. By 1963, he was working on a kibbutz in Israel. After visiting the site of ancient Petra, he returns to the University of Washington, feeling re-inspired. He received his BA in interior design from the University of Washington in 1965. In the same year, while experimenting in his basement studio, Chihuly blows his first glass bubble by melting stained glass and using a metal pipe. In 1966, he enters the University of Wisconsin at Madison on a full scholarship to study glass blowing in the first glass program in the United States. After receiving his MS in sculpture from the University of Wisconsin in 1967, he enrolled in the Rhode Island School of Design in Providence. By 1968, he receives his Master's of Fine Arts degree and travels to the Venini factory in Murano, Italy, and becomes the first American glassblower to work at the prestigious Venini factory. He then establishes a glass program at the Rhode Island School of Design and in 1969 became a full-time teacher. In the summer of 1971, on the site of a tree farm just north of Seattle, Chihuly started a glassblowing workshop, unaware that it would soon turn into the Pilchuck Glass School, which would grow into the institution with a profound impact on artists worldwide for years to come. By 1975, he begins work on his Navajo blanket cylinder series. Also in 1975, he begins work on his Irish cylinders and his Ulysses cylinder series. While visiting England and traveling to Ireland in 1976, he was in an automobile accident. It left him with 256 stitches in his face, no sight in his left eye, and permanent damage to his right ankle and foot. After recuperating, he returns to Providence to serve as head of the Department of Sculpture and the program in glass at the Rhode Island School of Design. In 1976, he also had a career milestone when the curator of contemporary art at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York acquires 3 of his Navajo blanket cylinders. In 1980, he resigns his teaching position at the Rhode Island School of Design and begins his C-Form series. In 1981, he begins his Maquia series, using up to 300 colors of glass. In 1983, he returns to the Pacific Northwest after 16 years on the East Coast. In 1984, he begins his soft cylinder series. In 1986, his Persian series emerged, followed by his Venetian series in 1988. In 1989, while at Pilchuck Glass School, he begins his Pewty series. Also this year, his Ikebana series is introduced, inspired by his travels to Japan. In 1991, he creates his Nijima float series, creating some of the largest pieces of glass ever blown by hand. By 1992, he was creating his chandelier series. In 1993, he begins his Piccola Venetian series, In 1995, he begins an international project, Chihuly over Venice. During the year of 1997, he began experimenting with plastics that he called polyvitro. In 1999, he began his Jerusalem Cylinder series. This led him into starting an ambitious exhibition, Chihuly in the Light of Jerusalem 2000, for which he created 15 installations within an ancient fortress, which is now the Tower of David Museum of the History of Jerusalem. More than 1 million visitors entered the Tower of David Museum to see Chihuly in the Light of Jerusalem 2000. This broke the world attendance record for a temporary exhibition. In 2003, he created the Fiori series for an exhibition at the Tacoma Art Museum. In 2006, after the death of his mother Viola, he begins his Black series. In 2010, Chihuly created his White series. His Rotolo series began in 2013. In the same year, he also decides to revisit the Irish cylinders from nearly 40 years ago. And as recently as 2017, he's still creating new bodies of work. His newest is Glass on Glass. He paints glass enamel on glass panels that are then kiln fired. Chihuly is currently exhibiting all over the world. Currently at the New Orleans Botanical Garden in New Orleans, Louisiana, or at the Franklin Park Conservatory and Botanical Gardens in Columbus, Ohio. Or if you're in London, stop by the Sims Reed to check out some Chihuly artwork. Chihuly also has several permanent exhibitions all around the world. The Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center in Omaha, Nebraska, the Toyama Glass Art Museum in Toyama City, Toyama, Japan, the Chihuly Garden and Glass, Seattle, the Oklahoma City Museum of Art in Oklahoma City, one right here in Florida, the Marine Arts Center in St. Petersburg, Florida, the Colorado Springs Fine Arts Center in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and the location of his very first ever permanent exhibit at the Tacoma Art Museum in Tacoma, Washington. And there you have it, the artist spotlight on artist Dale Chihuly, an artist who's been creating beautiful works of art since the 1960s and continues to do so today. I hope you enjoy this artist spotlight on one of my favorite artists, Dale Chihuly. Keep an eye out for upcoming artist spotlights in the future, and y'all stay safe, and we hope to see you soon.